You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for putting up with us during a little bit of the wait there. We definitely appreciate that. But I promise you, we got some sweet action coming your way soon, thanks to Unearthly and newcomer Phoenixton. Counterbob in the booth with me. I, of course, Mark, aka Chibikawaii. We love to have you here, and I'm gonna let Counterbob break down this matchup for you real quick.
Yeah, we got Unearthly and Phoenixton both sitting at 4-1. Unearthly playing Artport mid, same deck he top 8 last week with. A couple of changes. Looks like he added a Protect and up to 4 Annihilate. The other side is a little bit more interesting. A GPS Scream deck, slightly different than the other Scream deck we saw earlier. This one's the more mid-rangey control rather than going for the tempo. We got the Vara Fate Touch in there, more recursion besides just the Scream. Playing the green splash for stuff like Vanquish and Hearse Roll. Looks like that's the only thing in the main board I see. Sideboard, you have Valkyrie Enforcer. Interesting little addition to the Scream decks that we're seeing on ladder a lot. Should be exciting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, and Tavrod also in the board for Phoenix, and these players are 4-1, so we definitely it just seems weird. Because the Justice seems like very much a splash, except you're splashing how many? You're 12 double Justice cards and then like 2 single Justice.
You're playing double Justice, double Primal, double Shadow in this deck. All by turn 5, hopefully. But there's a lot of draw, so there's that.
Clearly it's working. So it looks like both players underway here. Phoenixton, go ahead, has all 3 of their influence colors right now. And with that Justice draw, has both double Primal and double Justice. Needs to get to that double Shadow, though. Haunting Scream also in hand for Phoenixton. Jumping back over to Unearthly. They have a Tinker Overseer in play, and we're going to see Phoenix Overton strategize, resolving the strategize and putting the Dark Return to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, looking at the list, another green card that we missed, another Justice card we missed was Slay in Phoenixton's deck. I didn't see it at first glance.
Yes, I did not see the Slay either. And of course, back when on Unearthly's term, Unearthly did play a Bloodletter on that Tinker Overseer. Tinker Overseer then becoming a 5/5 lifesteal for that turn, cracking in, putting Phoenixton down to 20, Unearthly up to 30. Phoenixton then back on Phoenix's turn, goes ahead and plays a Nocturnal Observer, triggering Nightfall, and goes ahead, starts a loot, goes ahead and decides to get rid of that second Justice source there, keeping a Cobalt Waystone and Crest of Vengeance in hand.
Yeah, he wants to be aggressive, putting that Bloodletter on the Overseer. It can bite him. Especially when your opponent is playing stuff like Vanquish and Slay. So the following turn, he could have played either or. But he's getting rewarded for just being aggressive and hoping your opponent doesn't have it. Sometimes that is just the right call. Force your opponent to have things. If they don't, you're just pushing damage through and no worries.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, I actually like pitching one of the Rendras here and then Haunting Screaming it just to make sure it gets your life total a little bit higher up and play the Crest of Vengeance on this turn. So that way you have your second Shadow Sigil, so you can actually start playing the Rendras normally. And I'm curious to see if they do decide to take that line. Phoenix, it does look like it. All right, so there we do see the Haunting Scream come in. Rendra coming in, triggering Nightfall, again, going to do some damage. Phoenixton going back up to 18. Unearthly down to 25, but again, Unearthly sitting in play with that 5/5 Tinker Overseer and another 2/2 Tinker Overseer. So he's going to be cracking back for 7 this turn.
Yeah, there's nothing really to answer Tavra that is in Unearthly's hand. Doesn't play it out. Looks like he's going to go with the Runehammer to clear the way, so no draw engine is on for Phoenixton. And just these Overseers are just 9 damage a turn, and now you have an active Runehammer. Phoenixton could play a Rendra to knock off the Runehammer, which is a nice effect that Knight gives.
Yes.
Definitely very favorable in terms of that, but Phoenixton
still
way behind.
Yeah, well, also still dead in the air. He's got 9 power floating in the air. Phoenixton being at 8 life. I don't think there's a draw that can get them out of this. Phoenixton would already have to be at 6 power in order for there to beat out. They really needed to have a okay, so I guess they do get to live this turn. They're able to play a power and then annihilate, and then they really need to find some sort of harsh rule.
Yeah, he'll survive a turn. The Rune Hammer goes away. He'll take 3, go to 5. Again, still drawing. I mean, he can get out of this if he draws another renewal spell to whatever Unearthly plays this next turn.
Yes, but Unearthly,
the 3/3 is just rough.
Yeah, definitely true. And I mean, like, so it's just also like Phoenixton's just in a really weird position, right? Because Tinker Overseer is going to smack in for at least 3, putting Phoenixton down to 5, at which point Knight is going to trigger, putting them down to 4. And then if they need to play their lifesteal unit, that's going to trigger Knight again, which then still allows them to swing in for 3, putting them down to 1, and then their own Knight trigger kills them. So they can't really play Rendra unless it was through a Haunting Scream. Yeah,
and Unearthly went with the safe play of, he had enough up to play Tavrod, which is, usually just, hey, I have Tavrod, slam Tavrod, but slam the Doom down with Protect backup just in case, get another flyer, and this just seals it up for him. Like, there's nothing Phoenixton could draw with that Protect up that would win the game for him.
Yeah, Phoenixton does eventually find the harsh rule, but like as you said, having that Protect in hand already for Unearthly, nothing was really going to happen there. So we are going to see Unearthly pick up that game. Congratulations, Unearthly. Phoenixton going to be going to the sideboard, seeing if they can pull anything out. So what do you think we're gonna see? Kind of like the feeding time.
Yeah, feeding time looks good. Enforcer can be good. It brings the flyers down to the ground.
Also stops Tavrod.
Saps Tavrod. It definitely seems to be the problem was the flyers. So that could be something. Unseal doesn't do too much. You could see Sabotage, take Rune Hammers and stuff like that. Also Bloodletters. But then again, what are you taking out? Lightning Storm doesn't hit that much, so that could be a card you take out. It only really hits Overseers that don't get equipped with Bloodletters and stuff like that. But there's not much with the Scream decks that you can take out often because they kind of work off of an engine, so you got to kind of you're kind of limited in that factor.
Yeah, that is. And the Steward of the Past don't do a ton here.
No,
so you could take those out, swap them out for a couple other creatures. So maybe you do bring in the Valkyrie Enforcers, just as as you said, to block the flyers and also bring the flyers down. Yeah, and I don't think you really want Tav. It's interesting to see Tavrod without. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the 5-drop Reanimator spell. Pull from Shadows?
Grasp from Shadows.
Grasp from Shadows. Yeah, all I could think of was Pull from Eternity, which is a magic card that doesn't even do anything with the graveyard. So, confusing myself there.
A lot of Scream decks are running Grasp because you can discard Vara and then Grasp it back. Your only way to get back a Tavrod that's been discarded or killed is through just paying your classic old 8 power for Vara. So.
Yeah, I guess what I was more referencing is the ability for Tavrod to fill the yard. So when you want to try to combo a little faster, so like maybe in a control matchup or something, but without Grasp from Shadows, like you're not. Without Grasp from Shadows, like I don't understand what the accelerated void fill is for.
Yeah, and that's part of the deck that you kind of can see too when you add that third color in. You just can't run all those types of cards.
Yeah, which makes plenty of sense. And we do see Unearthly bringing in the Moktos, which I know we talked about that a little bit earlier when do you bring in Moktos when your opponent's playing for Steward of the Past? We kind of agreed at that point that you do because it's still a 5/5 flyer, and it looks like Unearthly agrees.
Yeah, and if they have to remove it because they're taking 5 in the air and they don't have the Steward out, it's gonna come back. And I assume he brought his own stewards in to stop any shenanigans coming through with the Screams.
Yeah. I mean, Steward seems absolutely excellent in this matchup if you're on the Unearthly side. Unearthly's hand looking pretty good, too.
Yeah, and you can see that Unearthly has the stewards in his sideboard. And one of the reasons why Scream became popular, especially on ladder, is there's no sideboard. You're only playing one game, and a lot of people aren't playing steward main, so you're pretty free on that.
Yeah, and so we do see Phoenixton playing out a crest on their turn 1, and seeing a Gorgon Fanatic, leaving that on top. Unearthly fires off a Sabotage on turn 1, maybe a little premature because it completely whiffs on it. Not going to hit anything, and then Phoenixton might actually be able to get this Waystone active, depending on what time they decide to play it. However, Unearthly going to be able to play a Argenport Instigator here, which is definitely going to put some pressure on the board.
Yeah, Sabotage turn 1, sometimes you want to wait to protect some threats, but when you have a turn 1, then you have a turn 2 play of Instigator, turn 3, and then you have actually turn 3, you'll probably play Overseer with Protect backup.
Yeah. Or just going in and silence. Actually, yeah, I don't mind this. Go ahead and silencing it, and then you don't even care if it gets in and deals some damage to you, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely here in this situation, you do this line of play rather than what I was talking about before.
All right, Unearthly left with the 3/3 Valkyrie Enforcer in play. Phoenixton drawing a Slave for the turn, of course, also has another Gorgon Fanatic. Might be able to do some stuff here, but I don't mind just getting the Steward to pass and play. Oh, all right. Phoenixton going with the Nocturnal Observer instead. Nightfall is going to be triggered, immediately loots, draws the Steward of the Past. I wouldn't be surprised if a Steward of the Past hits the yard here. Maybe they want to keep it and they pitch a land or a power.
I mean, he only has 3, and he needs both of those to get double of each of those influence.
Yeah.
So Steward might be the better to leave with, and he's not under any pressure at the moment to slay away the Enforcer, so it's better to get your draw engine going with the Observer here.
Yeah. No, in terms of discarding things to be discarded, we do see that the second Steward of the Past is the option that is discarded. Because another option would have been discarding the Gorgon Fanatic, but if you are Phoenix and you think that Unearthly brought in the Steward of the Past, which probably did, the Void is not particularly a safe place for your Gorgon Fanatics to be hanging out, especially after turn 4. We see another Gorgon Fanatic being drawn for the turn and a crest. Phoenixton fires off the crest, sees a Seat of Order on top, and decides to bottom that. And we're going to go say the loot happened as well. Crest off the top. I have to imagine based off of the previous bottom that one of these powers are going to... Oh, actually, no. All right, I lied. Gorgon Fanatic hit in the yard here. How do you feel about that?
I mean, he has another one to play, and the crest is nice because you can just dig deep here in your deck. If you draw a scream it back because the one in the Void was silenced. So having an active Fanatic being able to scream through is pretty good.
All right. Ooh, all right. So you can go ahead and slay the Instigator here and then force the Overseer to block.
I like that the Tinker Overseer stayed back, even though it could fly over, and technically you think you have a blocker with the Instigator. But if your opponent does play the Scream, you also then have a blocker in the air. So it's a very smart play. You don't do your 2 damage, but also you're not letting your opponent do 3 and draw a bunch of cards and gain life.
Yeah. I guess this ends up being the same line. So I guess Phoenixton's going to end up holding on to the Slay, looks like. Maybe playing the Steward of Past.
He could.
Yeah.
Against any Argenport deck, you're always in fear of Tavrod when you only have 1 answer in your hand. Although you do have 2 Stewards who can potentially block, but then he's already activated once. He can be followed up by a 10/7 Tavrod or a weapon, so you don't really want to deal with that either. But the Flyers could get you. There's
another Tinker Overseer. We're going to see a Sabotage come out. Unearthly probably just fires off a Protect just to save that. I like firing off the Protect because it's probably what's going to be like the Protects probably aren't going to be what's taken. It's going to be your Vanquish, and Vanquish is such a nice answer for Vara. I would hate for that to no longer be the case, and especially since Tavrod theoretically could have come in.
Yeah, I'm surprised the swing with the Observer. I would think you want to. Yeah, I would think you want to dig to a Harsh Rule because just 1 for 1 in here, so just against all these Flyers can be rough.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Nocturnal Observer can only loot at night, and there's nothing else to trigger
true.
night. Yeah, so now it's just a 2/3 for 3.
Again, those bottom lines attacks.
Yes,
They do.
Very
so this
relevant.
deck always being at nighttime.
Ooh, all right. So that Valkyrie Enforcer, pretty good draw.
Yes, you saw your opponent use 2 protects already. It's pretty free to play this out. Knock down their Enforcer so you can block the 2 observers without losing your guy.
Yep.
And it can be definitely pretty good here.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, Unearthly has a 3rd protect, so that Valkyrie Enforcer is probably going to stay in the air.
Yeah, originally when I saw Unearthly's hand of just 3 protects, I'm like, ooh, that's not too great. But he drew into some units that can do some damage, and just having the protect, like normally you sit at many turns of just 4 power, not doing much, but he chipped away, and then anything that Phoenixton did just got negated by the protect buff.
Do you go to 1 here? Oh, I don't know. I like going to 1. Just live just as dangerous as possible.
He does get to trade with one unit at least.
Oh, Haunting Scream. That's huge.
Yes. We spoke earlier about Unearthly keeping back his Overseers for the potential of blocking said play.
Yep.
The one turn he doesn't. He draws the Scream off the top. I don't know how much this will actually save him, though.
Well, he can trigger Nightfall, which then gets him a loot off of the Observer, but instead they're going to go ahead and... Oh, wow, wowie, wow. All right, that's a Vanquish. That's going to answer that Tavrod. Phoenixton sitting at 5.
I don't think
all that Unearthly's going to be able to do is do 4 damage.
Yeah, he doesn't want to trigger Nightfall because
he
just die.
Yes. Oh, buddy.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. That's a Lightning Storm off the top. That's going to clear up on Unearthly's side of the board. Phoenix is going to be able to swing in for 8 here. Wow.
Talk about a top deck.
There's
the best one.
All right. Right, because I don't think you play Vara. There's nothing to gain you. Well, I guess you could play Vara to Gorgon Fanatic, but you still end up being dead.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess he might have been wary of the 4th protect, but come on.
Oh my god! I was hoping for Vara's favor off the top for Unearthly, just like a gotcha. All right,
that game turned around.
Yes, it did.
Like I'm pretty sure Unearthly thought he's like, oh, I got this in the bag. I have my 3 protects. You know, everything he did, I'm fine. Everything's in the air. I even talked about maybe taking out the storms because they only hit Overseers. But when your opponent just has 3 Overseers out, it works out.
I have to imagine that Phoenix did trim a little bit on the.
Yeah,
the
I would imagine.
Storms, right?
I mean, the deck has Strategize, Elder, Observer, so you can trim down on some of those cards because you have so much filtering that there's a good chance you might see them.
All right. I wonder if this is Phoenixton's opening hand. Oh, it looks like it is. This has the potential to be a very good hand or a not so great hand. Phoenixton plays a Crest on turn 1, sees a Nocturnal Observer on top, decides to leave it there, is going to be able to play that on curve on 3, which is going to be fantastic. Goes and fires off a Sabotage before playing the power. Sabotage is going to see 2 Sabotages and a Protect. It goes and takes a Sabotage from Unearthly. Unearthly going to play a power and probably going to fire the Sabotage off. Because if my opponent takes a Sabotage, then when I have another one in hand, kind of want to see what's going on in their hand.
Yeah, definitely a signal that hey, I have important spells.
Yes. This is interesting though because Haunting Scream, while a very good card in the deck, in Phoenixton's current hand, not actually that great of a card. I think Phoenixton is valuing Harsh Rule over the Haunting Scream, so I do really like this because now it kind of forces forced Unearthly to take that Haunting Scream over something like the Harsh Rule.
Yeah, and he didn't know that he had the Observer in hand, so yeah. I mean, Scream and Observer go really well together, so it might be the better play at that point. And it's tough. He does have a Protect in hand, so the Harsh Rule might not matter as much.
Yeah, but then there's an Annihilate coming out right.
Yeah, Phoenixton has all the removal in his hand at this point.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get one more activation off of Observer, getting another Harsh Rule. Ooh, that's bold. That is
Uh,
bold. Getting rid of the 5th power.
I don't mind it because you have the activation of Nightfall from the waste. No, you don't.
No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. Like
don't.
that is bold. I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. It's fine. See, clearly we all knew there's a Shadow Sigil on top of the deck, right?
But also, a couple rounds ago, we talked about the Felon Control player, good old friend Buffoon, good old BB, holding on to the Annihilate.
Good old BB?
Was Phoenixton really under pressure by that 2/2 at that point? Could he held on to it and then used it against a more important creature like this Unseen Commando? That might have been better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We'll be able to cast Vara thanks to the triple shadow that Phoenixton has, but we'll be a few powers short.
Yeah, and he knows about the protect, so he could fire off this one harsh roll just to. Like, do you trade a harsh roll for protect at this point, or do you hope just play around it until Unearthly taps out, basically, or is Unearthly just gonna always have one?
Well, Unearthly knows about the Vanquish and the harsh roll, right?
Yeah, he knows about one.
I think there's very little way that Unearthly is going to commit any more to this board, knowing that the board is just going to blow up. And especially with this ReNGee draw, I kind of just like getting in for 2 points of damage, firing off the harsh roll, and then Unearthly ends up spilling out more of his hand, right? And then you have the second harsh roll follow up because you can play the ReNGee next turn while they develop their board a little bit. Trigger Nightfall, got some more cards. I don't know. Ooh.
Yeah, Unearthly is kind of handcuffed on resources at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I would have liked to have blown up the board. I don't know.
I mean, you could see an interesting situation where, like, how afraid of ReNGee is Unearthly, where let's say he doesn't draw a power this turn. Does he use it all up to then slay the ReNGee, and then he's open to a harsh roll? So to me, interesting on Unearthly's turn here.
Yeah. Huh.
Looks like you might think about protecting a creature here, a unit here,
okay,
to prevent. He decides against it. So if he protects there, he can then freely slay and be fine against a harsh roll.
Yeah, and with that Diplo Seal being drawn, Unearthly does have the power to leave up a protect now. Man, I guess I still think I would have liked to have seen that harsh roll a few turns ago, or I guess a turn ago. But
it's when you have two, and you also had at that point you did have the Vanquish in your hand,
yes.
So you use double harsh rule, and then let's say a turn or two later they play the Doom or the Tavrod. You're not punished as much because you do have the Vanquish still.
Yeah, the Slay though does end up forcing out the Protect, which is going to be pretty good. However, that still means that Phoenixton is going to be falling down. Is still going to be taking 5 here, so this is pretty good. Activates Nightfall. Still going to end up taking 5 next turn. Going to go back down to 10. But Harsh Roll will be able to clean it up. Oh, there's that second sabotage. Or there's another sabotage. Getting rid of the Harsh Roll. Unearthly might play out something and does not. Okay.
No, he did draw into a second Protect. So the benefit of having Sabotage and Protect showed off right here.
Yes. All right, so there's the Wisdom of Elders. I have to imagine you keep that on top, right? Because yes, you're just digging to more cards, but at least you get 1 card deeper, and you can play most of your deck on 4 power.
Yep, and you're assuming you're in a harsh roll here. It's going to be A-okay.
Yeah.
Draw that next turn, refill your hands, be sitting okay, especially with your opponent. They're stuck on their double Shadow Source, so they can't play stuff like Doom or Tavrod. So it's definitely interesting what goes on these next couple turns.
Yeah, well, ooh, activating Nocturnal. Oh, I don't.
Yeah, because if your plan's the harsh roll, do you want to get rid of one of your draw engines?
Yeah, I would have just taken the 2 points of damage there and then left the Wisdom of Elders on top. Yeah, I don't know. It might end up working out. We'll see. We will definitely see. I have to imagine we're going to see Wisdom of Elders come across first here.
Yeah, it would make more sense. Draw as many cards as you can to then weigh your options whether to play Ranger or not.
Yeah,
So if you drew a Scream or an answer to Unseen Commando, you want to answer that first.
Oh, for sure. For sure. This Rangers comes down. Phoenixton doesn't really have a lot of a choice. Unearthly is going to drop down Phoenixton to at least 3. Oh, no. It's going to drop him down to dead. That is actually what's going to happen here. Wow.
Yeah.
Great games. Congratulations to Unearthly pulling that out.
It shows the power of like these small, cheap units backed up by stuff like Protect and Sabotage. It just any sort of way you can mess with your opponent's deck in terms of, they can have less answers that they're planning on 2 Harsh Rolls. Okay, Sabotage one away. Okay, Protect the next one. Just nothing that Phoenix could really do. He's just constantly behind and just couldn't ever establish himself.
Yeah, no, I mean it seemed definitely difficult from Phoenixton's side of the board. Especially when you think about it, like Phoenixton just was like mono removal this game, and it still just didn't matter.
Yep. And like normally, Ardent Port's classical Tavrod deck, I don't think we saw a Tavrod swing. I think we saw 1 Tavrod be played that whole match.
Yeah, did not get to swing. Yeah.
So I think Tinker Overseer and Valkyrie Enforcer were the all-stars in that match.
Yes, very much so. Game 2 with that lightning storm. Oh, that was beautiful.
See a lot of cards. See the right ones at the right time.
We'll leave it at that. But with that is also our last match there's one match left in the round that maybe, I don't know. We're finding out. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So that is going to be the last match that we cover for this round, and then we are going to be moving in to our. Oh, geez, are we at round 7 already?
Yep, round 7, our last round before we cut the top 8. We'll see who can get their last victory needed to make it, and see if they can climb through the brackets and win the whole darn thing.
I was trying to come up with something snappy, but I failed. Much like anyway. So yeah, that's going to be it for this round. We will be back and look forward to looking at chat here soon. See you guys soon.